All right, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, okay, I hope I don't get a phone call. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Fingers crossed. All right, gonna pull you guys up here on my computer and see if I maybe need to turn on some more lights. Oh, this was fast. Okay. My iPad tells me I am live. Yes. How is everyone doing? It is cold and rainy here today in Calgary. And it looks like we're doing not bad with, let me just move my note here, with the light. That's part of the little demo we're going to do a little bit later. Okay. I'll just give it a moment. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I think we're good. We don't have too many shadows. A little bit over here, but we'll be okay. I'll keep you guys over on this end where it's brighter. All right. So I have a few things to share with everyone today. Now I actually got to share some of this for a live demo in the Creative Scrapbooker Magazine VIP group yesterday. So if you popped into that, or you're a member of that group, you'll have seen some of this, some of what I'm going to share today, but I thought I could just share it again here, and then my little demo will make more sense because I'm going to take some of the scraps I used that were left over from the project I did yesterday in the Creative Scrapbooker Magazine VIP group, and we're going to turn that into a couple of cards. So I'll share some ideas with you on how to use scraps. Hello, Tanya. So yeah, what I've got in front of you actually is this. I'll just grab, oh wait, that's not the right one. I have the directions here, oh, they're right behind me. Okay, at least I found it quickly. Is this guy, which is the Gate Fold Folio. Maybe I'll just move this out of the way. We're going to use those little die cuts later. All right. And so this hello to everyone who's joined. If I haven't seen you yet, to say hello when you popped in. Hi, everyone. And we've got these great CrafTreat scrapbook template products in the store. So maybe before I kind of go through this one that I created for the VIP group demo yesterday, let me just kind of show you a little bit of what's in the store with these guys. Now, when you purchase one of these, it comes with all the pieces pre-cut and instructions on how to put together a project. So this one is the accordion hinge book. Okay, so you'll get, again, all the pieces to kind of put together the base, and then you just add your paper and die cuts and whatever. Hello, Rosie. Okay, so that's the accordion hinge. Actually, well, I'll do that one last. Then we've also got the flip-flap gatefold. And this is a great value. This is $25, and you're actually getting 2 sets of 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 inch black and craft to be able to make this book. So you're able to make 2 books out of this one kit. And again, it lists all the measurements here, so you can go through and really pre-cut everything beforehand and then just sit down and assemble. Well, hello from Saskatchewan. How's the weather there for you? Okay, then we've got the double folio and this kit as well. The double folio comes with 2 sets of these folios. Again, one in black and one in craft. Okay, so these are in the store. Yeah, it is a great idea to split them with a friend. I'm just gonna quickly grab the link here and post that for you so it's easy to find. CrafTreat. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'll grab that link and post it there for you. Then you've got the basic 6x6, And again, this comes with 2 pre-cut bases for 2 albums. Okay. We've also got the expanding folio. Okay, so this is 6.5 inch by 4.5 inch. I think Stacy has made one, but the 6 by 6 inch, and there's a lot of places for photos in here. And I forgot to hit search to grab that link for you. Okay, and then it comes, there's a black, and then there's also one in white. Okay, so let me just show you really quickly. This one is the, let me flip that over, the Matchbox camera. Okay, and this as well comes with 2 sets. Little Cool and Breezy and Esteban. Yeah, so maybe similar to what it's like here. Okay, and I'm just gonna post that. Okay, I've posted that link for you to all the albums that are in the store. And so just to kind of give you a little bit of a closer up view. Okay, so inside the packaging here on the back side, it gives you all the step-by-step directions to put these guys together. And this is what it looks like. So this one again is the Matchbox camera. So you're getting a set in craft and then the whole pre-cut pieces in black as well. So you can see here that they're pre-scored everywhere you need to fold, pre-cut, pre-scored, just ready to assemble. And I didn't actually look for all of them. The one I'm going to show you a little bit more close up that I put together yesterday, the Gate Fold Folio. There is a video on YouTube where someone's walks you through putting it all together. So I imagine that there might be similar ones there. There might be videos for these other ones as well if you need a little extra help putting those together. But let's take a quick boo at the Gate Fold Folio. Now again, it comes with all the pre-cut bases, and then it also included the magnets. And I added an extra magnet to the other side here just to hold it closed, but in true Rosie fashion, I glued it upside down so it wasn't sticking to the other magnet, so I had to gently peel it off and redo it. So I'm not even going to show you that because the glue is still drying. I don't want to rip the magnet off. Now on this as well, so the paper line I've used is the 49 in Market Nature's Haven. So I've used the 6x8 papers along with the ephemera die cut elements. Okay, and this is a huge pack. It's got 73 die cut pieces. And if you're familiar with 49 in Market, I love that their packaging, they've designed a pattern on the back side of the packaging, so you can even make use of that as well. Excuse me, dropping some bits and pieces here. So that's fantastic. You get a lot of use out of that. So, you know, I've put this whole book together and I've still got 6 sheets out of 27, like full size left. And then if I add the back of the packaging sheet, then that's like 7 sheets of paper left. So can do lots of stuff with that. So let's take a little look here. So this is the front of the book and it's a Gate Fold Folio. So it folds out like this. Let me just move that up here and I'll just slide those die cuts out of the way. All right, and so there's an inner gatefold, okay, and that's this piece here, which has 2 tags that slide in and out of the pockets, okay, and then on this left side, we've got a little pocket envelope there, put some ephemera or photos or maybe some hidden journaling. Then the right side of the gatefold, we've got another 2 pockets. All right, and then I've just added some of the die cut, a few of the die cut elements from the 49 in Market Nature's Haven. Okay, and then we fold that open. We've got another pocket here, journaling, photos. This flap flips up here. Okay, and then this as well. Let me just grab this piece of paper. This is another pocket right in here. And then we've got these two tags that slide out of these pockets. So lots of places for photos, for journaling. This might be kind of a really fun, you could make a little, I'm just thinking out loud, a little notepad set for a friend as well. Maybe put a little pen in here, some note paper in here, although I don't know, does anybody write letters anymore? I think it's just us crafters who actually send cards these days. All right, so that's the inner gatefold. And then on the inner part of the cover, we've got these waterfall pieces. And, you know, if you wanted, you could also put pattern paper on the back here of them. I think these might be fun if you're doing, you could do a photo here, some type of journaling here. That might be a really fun way to use these waterfall pieces. Okay, and then again, same waterfall on the other side. Okay, and then that's going to close up just like that. And then I've got the magnets for these guys are on this side here, so that will magnetize. And then, like I said, I added an extra magnet on the right side just to hold it closed. It is pretty, isn't it? Hi, Jenny. Yeah, you know what? I really like these. And honestly, this came together very fast, like not even a day of work to put this together. So that's the fun stuff, just a little bit of the show and tell. And again, just to remind you, this one is the Gate Fold Folio. Okay, but now I thought it would be fun after kind of cutting the papers out for this. I ended up with a few scraps. So I thought it might be kind of fun to actually put together a couple of cards with these scraps. And we're going to keep them super simple. But just so you can see that, you know, I don't know, if you're like me, you have a hard time throwing paper away, especially pattern paper. I find I have the toughest time throwing that away. So I'm just going to share a couple of ideas for using up some of these scraps. I'm just going to move a few things out of the way here. All right, and let me just grab the scraps. So, and I've got a few pieces of something else to show you. That's not the paper I used. All right, so let's bring in these guys. So I've cut a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. And then I've also got some sentiments here. Let me just pull these in. So these are the Alex Siberia Better Press plate and die set. So I'll just show you what that looks like on the back. So it's this beautiful scripty font with thank you, celebrate. I basically pressed a whole bunch of sentiments and then die cut them all. There we go. So you can get a good look at that. So some really pretty, really lovely little font with those guys. So let's kind of put together, we'll kind of start simple, although it is pretty simple using up these scraps. So I'm going to pull out this frame, which is from the die cut elements, because I think this would be really fun here. Again, I've got this 3.5 by 3.5 inch white square. You could use any type of paper there, but we're going to go simple here, and we're just going to, I think we're going to back it like this. Okay, really easy. I've got my liquid glue here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. All right. And I'm literally just going little teeny dot. Now I'm actually using the second bottle. If you've got this glue press, it comes with 2 bottles, and one has a very fine tip and this tip is a little bit larger. Hi, Cynthia. So I'm actually using the one with the larger tip. It just worked a little bit better when I was putting the folio together to be able to get a little bit more glue out at one time. And I just haven't switched back to the other bottle. So I'm just going to pop that over top of this scrap of paper, and then just trim behind that die cut frame. And I have to trim a little bit more on this side here. Okay, perfect. Okay, and we're just going to layer that right on that piece of white cardstock. And I think, let's see, we have a little bit of a bigger sheet here. I think we might actually do it like that. Yeah, I'm going to trim that off a little bit here, just to give it a little bit more interest on the background. So we're just wanting to use these paper scraps up. I'm going to make that a little bit more of a, or maybe not. Let me just layer this down here again. I'm just going to trim it like this for now. It might look a little odd, no worries. Okay, and then we're going to layer our little frame kind of off center there. Okay. And I had a sentiment picked out here before, if I can find where it went. We're going to use this guy, Big Hugs. And I'm going to layer that right here. Now I do like to, I die cut some extra dies to kind of use to back these like this, so I can layer that. And then you're not trying to get foam tape on these little itsy bitsy pieces there. So that's a tip for you if you want to add a little bit of dimension to your die cuts. So without having to deal with teeny tiny pieces of foam tape, that's one thing you can do. Okay. So I'm going to add some glue to here. Do you guys keep all your paper scraps or do you trim them down? Depending on the papers. I think Carla got me into doing this. If they're kind of larger papers, I'll try to trim them down to like card front size. Keep those, and I kind of was just pitching anything that's smaller, but after kind of playing around with some of these scraps, I think it might be kind of fun to make that part of your crafty process if you're a card maker, to just turn them into cards. All right, and then I'm just going to put Big Hugs right here. I want it offset like that, but what I can do also, if you wanted to add a little bit more visual interest, we could come in, you know, add some more, like some paper strips behind there, but I like it just like that. So I'm going to add some glue here. I'm going to pop that on there. Okay, and now I can pop that directly on a card base, or what I would probably do is mat it once more. Again, this is 3.5 by 3.5. So I'd probably give that another little mat of yellow. I wonder if I have a light yellow somewhere hanging around. Probably not, because I'm thinking on the fly. But we could even come in with another little piece of green back here and just mat that together. I'd probably just kind of center that. So easy peasy. So you can use your paper scraps to back your frames, your die cut frames, etc. Okay, so that's one idea. You can also take your paper scraps and we can just kind of build a simple background. So I'm just going to grab my other paper trimmer. I like the little guy, but you kind of need it a little bit longer. So I've just got an A2 card base here. And now I've just pulled out some of these scraps I have from putting together that folio. And so I'm going to just trim this to 5 1/4. Okay, and we're just going to layer that piece there. And I'm going to trim this one, probably less than 4 inches. Actually, we're going to put this on this side. So maybe I'll do that one 5 1/4 as well. A little bit shorter. We'll do it 5. Okay, and I'm going to place this guy up here. Okay. And then I'm just pulling a paper scrap from my pile here. We'll fill that guy in there. And I've got another little scrap I'm going to put up here, but I'm going to layer that underneath just to give it some interest. So these are super simple, and you can play around with all sorts of patterns. If I wanted to, we can come in here with another little piece down here, and you can kind of create like a woven sort of look as well. So just placing your paper scraps. Kind of play around with it. There's no right or wrong, it's just whatever you enjoy the look of. But I'm going to take that one out of here because what I'd like to do, I've got this square one. Okay, we could place that in the center. So I'm not going to glue this all down, but we're just going to go through a few different ideas. And then you can come in with another sentiment. Okay, and what I can do here, so this does not have a shadow die, but what you can do is just glue it. You can offset your sentiment either, a little bit to one side in the top, and now you've got a little bit of a shadow sentiment there. Okay, so that's one idea. Okay, so we can build our little background here. Now another idea, if you've got kind of a little larger piece of paper. So for example, this is a bit of a larger scrap. I mean, I could use this for, just a background like that. Okay, but what we could also do is just trim this. I'm just going to see how this is like 2.5 by 5.5. So I'm just going to trim it like 1 inch. And maybe 3/4 of an inch. Okay, we're just going to set that aside here. Sorry, this is the one we're working with. Okay, and I can trim it. Now I lost track of where I was, but so I'm just going to lay these pieces beside each other like that. So you can trim your paper, just kind of different sizes here. Okay. And now what I can do is grab this. We're just going to trim this piece down a little bit. Make sure it's no larger than 4 inch by 5 1/4. Okay, and what you can do is just layer your pattern pieces that we just trimmed. Okay, we'll kind of center them. Ish. Now what you could do is just draw a little pencil line to really lightly to keep it straight. I'm going to do my typical Rosie and eyeball it, but I am using liquid glue, so that's going to give me a little bit of wiggle time to just kind of move the papers around. Okay. Make sure they're somewhat straight-ish. If I don't have it completely centered from top to bottom, that's okay. I can go in and just trim off whichever side I feel is a little bit too tall. I can just give that a little haircut in my paper trimmer. Okay. So you see I've kind of kept these in the order of the pattern so that we're just getting a little bit, leaving that little space in there just gives that a little bit of visual interest. So super easy way. Actually, we'll just trim off that edge there a little bit because I can see it's a little bit longer. We'll give it a small little haircut here on this side and then on the top. Okay. And then we could come in again. If I wanted to, I could add an ephemera piece, you know, something like this. I could trim off. This is from the die cut ephemera, and then I can come in over top with the sentiment. With a sentiment like that. So super simple, but I think very effective, very easy to do. So these are a bunch of the paper scraps I have left. So I'm going to actually put together cards with all these off camera, and then you can kind of see how many I was able to create with these paper scraps. It'll just take a little bit too long to do them all here. Okay, but I do have another one to share with you, and this one, I started it last night. I just kind of wanted to walk you through, if I can find where it went. There it is. So I literally had this pile of just these scraps of paper from cutting down some papers for an album class and a layout class I'm taking. So I thought, you know what, I just grabbed them. And what I've done now is just basically adhered them on the diagonal. Now, if you've got tons of paper scraps and lots of patience, and you want to make full card fronts from them, you can use like a double-sided adhesive, something like this, that would cover your cardstock completely. You can use glue. I use glue with these just because I wasn't planning to do all of the card front. Okay, so I'm going to do these last few pieces, which are these. And if you see this, this is actually the packaging off of I can't remember which 49 in Market line it was, but this is what was printed on the back of the packaging for this particular 6x6 paper. Okay, so I'm going to add this guy. And you could do these on the diagonal. You could do them straight up and down if you wanted, however you want. You can see these are all different sizes. I basically just picked up the pile of scraps I had sitting beside me and started gluing them to this paper. Oh, I just got lots of glue on my table. Surprise, surprise. 1 second. I'm gonna have to grab a baby wipe. Okay, I'm going to give that a little wipe there. Sorry about that. Okay, but now I can just take these, trim off these edges. Boop. And this edge. And this guy. Awesome. Now we've got that card front filled. Okay. And I'm going to mat that as well on black. So I'll just grab a piece of black here. Okay, and yeah, I think that's straight on this side. Ish. That looks straight. Okay. So I can see where I've trimmed off. I've not done a great job trimming that off. So you know what I'm going to do, because I want it to be, I don't want it to look wonky. It's looking a little wonky, like it's not straight. I'm just going to slide this into my trimmer, and there we go. Just give that a little bit of a haircut there. And same on this side, just to make sure I've got that all squared up. Okay, there we go. That's better. So I've got this guy all squared up. Okay, and this is a great way to use if you're trimming off 12 by 12 papers that have like the barcode at the top, but then the other side has maybe a pattern on it. This is a really great way to use up those pieces. All right. So I'm going to give that guy a little trim as well. Just grab my paper trimmer. Okay, and then we'll do this edge. Okay. And now we're ready for the sentiment. And so I'm going to use this Celebrate sentiment. That's from the Alex Siberia Classic Sentiments. So that's the one I showed you earlier, this set. Press plate and coordinating die. And but I didn't want this to get lost on this white piece. I'm actually going to put it at an angle right in the center. So what I did was I added just the die cut of Celebrate, like there's nothing stamped on it. I die cut it out of black cardstock at the top, and I'm also going to glue a piece right down at the bottom. So it just gives the illusion of like a shadow layer behind there. Okay, and then I can have that, it'll stand out on my card front. It's not going to get lost. Okay, so I'm going to add a wee bit of glue back here just to the edge. Okay, and then we're going to just kind of wiggle that around till it's lined up the way I want it. And no worries if you can see the white glue, it will dry clear. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now I can add that right to the center of to that white piece, and we can see that the Celebrate stands out. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, you know, like I was saying, I don't usually keep my scraps. I often just say it's too little and pitch it, but honestly, why not make use of them? Just a different way to exercise your creativity as well. Okay, so I'm gonna glue that down here, slide that a little bit down. Okay, and then I can put that on a card front, or on a card base, pardon me. I'm actually not, I think I've just got top folding card bases cut right now. And there we go. Super, super simple. Super simple. Okay, and so I'm going to share another idea with you. One last idea. And I cannot take credit for this. So I was watching you know what? Now I can't remember who it was I was watching on YouTube, but I thought this was a really fun idea. And so I'm just going to grab just have to cut myself a card front here at 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay. And so this one's kind of a fun one. I'm going to measure. What did I do with my pencil? I literally had my pencil here like 2 seconds ago because I was actually using it to work on my bookkeeping work. And now I don't know where my pencil went. Well, oh wait. Is that a pencil? Yes. Okay, sorry. Found one. All right, so what I'm going to do is just mark this kind of right down here at 2, that's about 2 1/4. And then on this side, we're gonna mark this at 1 inch. Okay. And I'm gonna grab let's see if I can do this on my scoreboard. So what I want to do is line up my score. There, oh yeah, I can do that. So here the inner, you know what, maybe let me grab a different color. This might be better. This one might be easier to see on my score buddy because it's lighter. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So I'm lining up my little pencil mark here, kind of right in the center of my scoreboard line. Okay, and then I'm making sure my other pencil mark here is lined up right in the center of that same line. Okay, so I'm basically lining up those pencil marks. I'm going to call it the ditch. And then we're going to hold that down and score to make a flap. Oh, look, I missed that. Hang on, we'll do it again. I had that just off a little bit. There we go. Okay. And no worries if you kind of miss that score line, because what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to add our pattern paper right along here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just trim this off. No point adding pattern paper where you don't need it. Okay. So we'll use some bigger pieces here as well. We'll use a combination. So we can use both sides here. So I'm gonna glue that piece here. Yeah, it is a great Better Press sentiment set, Jenny. I love those Better Press sentiment sets, and they foil so nicely as well. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more to here. Okay, and then we're gonna glue this guy beside. I think I want him this way. No, other way. We'll just add a strip of glue down here. Okay, and we got lots of scraps here, so let's do maybe a skinnier one. Another polka dot there. Okay. I'm going to add this wider piece. I don't think I want that one. I'm going to do, let's do this guy. This one's pretty. Okay, we'll put that one along here. All right. And now let's do, I think I want to try to find a smaller piece. Maybe this guy, or a skinnier piece, I should say. We'll put this guy here. So like you could really assembly line stuff like this. Like honestly, just do a whole bunch of gluing your strips down to like a flap like this, or to, you know, different sizes of cardstock. You could do it on circles. You could die cut some shapes out of white cardstock and then just glue your strips to that and trim them off, or do it the other way. Glue all your strips to paper and then die cut your, oh, I didn't put enough glue on there, and then die cut your shapes and then use those as focal points for your sentiment, or create some die cut clusters. So layer some of your ephemera bits and then create clusters. I want to use a little bit of a thicker piece. So let's see, this is a really odd shape, this guy. So let's use this one here. It'll fill in that last little triangle. And we're just going to trim it off anyways. Okay. So I just thought this was such an interesting design when I saw what that particular creator did. And I'm sorry, I wish I could remember her name to give her credit, but I do not recall. And I should have written it down. Okay, so I'm going to give these guys a trim. That way, and then we need to just flip open that flap. Gonna trim down that side. I'm not going to cut it all the way across, because if I leave these intact, now I can use the remainder of these pieces on another card. Okay, and look at that, I cut on my flap. But don't worry, we're going to remedy that. Okay. So I'm just going to take a little smidgy off here because I cut into the white cardstock underneath and now it's not straight. Does it matter? Not really. But if I'm going to put the effort into it, I'll make it straighter. Okay. Just going to trim that off. Okay. Love these trimmers. You can get, like, look at what a thin trim you can get. They are fantastic for just getting that little edge off. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do, if I wanted, we could put a little piece of foam. Maybe we will. We'll put a little piece of foam adhesive. We'll put one on here. We don't need to, but if we put that on there, so it'll stay closed, but then we can kind of see that little bit of dimension. That just adds a little bit of interest. Hello, Kelly. Okay. So we're playing with the scraps from yesterday's folio project, Kelly. Okay. And so I think I had a bigger piece. Let's see. We've got this piece, which is a little bit bigger. And I think we'll use this side. I don't know. I'm not loving it. I'll have to think about that. But let me just grab a card base here. I think I'm going to put it on. Okay, hang on. I'm just rummaging here for some colored cardstock, because I think I'd like to use a colored cardstock piece for that. The question is, what color? let's see. We've got some, I don't know if I have the quote-unquote right color. I don't know if there is a quote-unquote right color. Maybe a light pink. Nope. Green? No, that's too yellow-green. Maybe the sky. Let's see. Not loving it. I almost need like a sagey green, which it looks like I've used all my sagey green. So I'm going to put that away and I'm going to grab my leftovers, and I think that we can make something here work. I think this one's pretty. I've got a little bit more of the green. Okay, or it's the same one as that. Oh, this one's nice. I don't want too much pattern on that back piece. I think I'm way overthinking it. What do you guys think? Probably so, hey? That might be interesting, and then I can ink that edge. I don't know. I'm totally overthinking this. This is totally a me thing. So you know what? On that note, we are going to go back to, we're going to go to black. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to mat that. Where's my black? Let me grab a piece of black here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a card base. Super simple card base. I'm just going to trim that in half at 5.5. Okay. And then give that a fold. We're going to keep it super, super simple. All right. And now I can just mat that like this on my card base. And for this one, thank you for being you, or we already used big hugs. Thank you. And I think what I would actually do is put that sentiment, I'm going to put that sentiment right up there. Okay. And then we can go to our die cut ephemera that I didn't use all of it. Okay. And I can play around and find something that's going to work at the bottom here. Ooh, actually, I have an idea of something that's going to work. Aha. Okay, but now you're going to have to wait to be surprised because I have to find the dies. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you could add ink to get the color you want. Yeah, and you know what? That's actually a really great idea. Let's drag out an ink pad, for example. Okay, so Cynthia, the sentiments are the Alex Siberia Classic Sentiments. Okay, the press plate and die. Kelly, I love that idea, and you totally could. So I just grabbed here my Fruit Punch Color Shift ink, and so we're just going to take this guy and add a bit of ink to him. I'm going to try not to make a hot mess of this. So if we wanted to add ink to the sentiment, I'm going to just tap lightly and then tap off a little bit of that. So I would ink it lightly because I do find that the black might get a little bit muted. So the script of the sentiment. So this is not a great inking job, but just to put into practice your suggestion, Kelly. But yeah. So yeah, easily. You can color the whole thing. You could just do around the edges. So super simple. Okay. Let me just wipe this off here, and oh, I know what would work well. Okay, so I know what I'm going to do on this one. We're going to finish this guy. So I have this little ticket guy, and so what I'm going to do, I like my thank you up there, but I've got a piece of ribbon. Okay, and because this has that little, this has got a little, kind of like a little slider piece, I'm actually going to pop my ribbon through here. I'm going to do it through the back. I'm going to make sure that's straight. And with this little flap type of piece, you can play around with where you're scoring, like how far it folds down, etc. And what I've even seen too is this bottom piece being embossed. And so we're going to pop this around here, and that's going to kind of add some visual interest to that bottom piece. Instead of the black card, yeah, you can definitely use colored cardstock instead of the black cardstock for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see what you mean. But I think too, if you wanted to color this entire piece just to make it be a colored sentiment, you could do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to add that to here, and I may, there's some really sweet little, we'll add this little strawberry heart. Oh, there we go. Now I like that. So it just gives us some interest on that bottom piece. And I'll glue all that down after. Okay, so that's a really fun way to use up some of those scraps. And I mean, your imagination is, the sky's the limit, I would say. It's just how imaginative you can be with those scraps. So here's just a quick look. These aren't all finished, but just to give you an idea of some of the few things we did on using up some of these scraps. And like I said, I've got all of these to use. And I'm determined to, I'll kind of take, I'll take some photos just to show you what ended up being left over. Because there's a few pieces like this little guy, I'm probably not going to use him for anything. And so that's what I have for you guys this week. Just a reminder, registration for Scrapaganza is open, and I think we're about 80% sold so far. So if you're on the fence thinking about coming, you might want to make that decision sooner rather than later, so you don't end up missing out. And on the Facebook page, on the Scrap Shots Facebook page, there's a post about the Hero Arts virtual holiday class, I think it is, class kit. If you want to check that out, if that's something you think you might want to take part in, then just kind of keep watching the Facebook page for the details on how to sign up for that and let Sandy know that you're wanting one of those kits. Okay? Because generally when she puts in an order for those kits, it's, you know, once her order goes in, it's really difficult to add to it after the fact. So just kind of be aware of that and be on the lookout for when you can sign up for that kit if you're looking for it. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. And hopefully, I'm looking out my window here, it's pretty wet. So hopefully you're staying dry and warm wherever you are. So have a fantastic weekend, And don't forget to play along with our summer challenge in the Scrap Shots paper crafting group. It's essentially a color inspiration challenge. So you can check that out there, and we'd love to see your projects and have you play along with us. All right, thanks for hanging out with me, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.